The rain had just stopped when Jake Blaze Turner roared down the highway on his Harley, the kind of night when the air smelled like metal and asphalt and regret. He'd been riding for hours, escaping something he couldn't quite name. Maybe himself, maybe the ghosts he carried from the road. The neon glow of a gas station flickered ahead like a small promise of warmth, and he slowed down, tires hissing as they cut through shallow puddles. He parked near the edge of the lot, killed the engine, and for a moment there was nothing but silence, the kind that only comes after a storm. He removed his helmet, his long brown hair plastered to his forehead, rain dripping down his leather jacket. Jake rubbed his tired eyes, thinking of a hot coffee and a quiet minute before the next stretch. That's when he heard it. A sharp, wet smack, the unmistakable sound of flesh against flesh. Jake's head snapped toward the noise. Near the gas station's glass doors, under the harsh fluorescent light, a police officer stood in front of an old homeless man. The man looked fragile, his hands trembling around a paper cup, coins glinting faintly at the bottom. His beard was matted with gray and rain, his coat more holes than fabric. He said something Jake couldn't hear, and then smack! Another hit. The old man stumbled, clutching his cheek. The cup fell, coins scattering across the wet pavement, rolling toward the gutter. Jake froze, heart hammering. He'd seen fights, seen people get hurt. But something about this was different. This wasn't a bar fight or a bad deal gone south. This was one man, sworn to protect, using his power to humiliate someone who had nothing. Jake felt a familiar heat crawl up his neck, the same kind that used to get him into trouble back in his biker gang days. He clenched his fists, took a slow breath, and started walking toward them. The cop turned, his badge catching the light. "Move along, biker," he barked. "This doesn't concern you." Jake didn't stop. His boots hit the pavement with slow, heavy steps. "It concerns me when I see someone getting hit for no reason." The officer squared his shoulders, towering, trying to use his uniform as armor. "He's trespassing, panhandling. I told him to leave, and he got smart with me." Jake's voice stayed low, even, but his eyes were cold. "That doesn't give you the right to slap him." The cop's jaw tightened. "You questioning a police officer now?" Jake smiled. That calm, dangerous smile that used to make men twice his size take a step back. "Guess I am." For a long moment, they just stared at each other. The rain dripped from the gas station awning, the air thick with tension. Then Jake pulled his phone from his jacket pocket, flicked the camera on, and held it up. "Go ahead, officer," he said quietly. "Say it again. Tell me what this man did that made you hit him." The cop blinked, caught off guard. "Put that phone down." Jake didn't move. "You're wearing a badge. You should be proud of what you do, right? So let's make sure everyone sees how you protect the people." The homeless man's voice came out in a trembling whisper. "I just asked him not to take my blanket. I wasn't doing nothing wrong." Jake aimed the camera at him gently. "You got that on record now," he said. "You're not invisible tonight." Then he looked back at the cop. "You done?" The officer's face went red. "You're interfering with law enforcement." "That's arrestable." Jake tilted his head. "Then arrest me. But I'm not the only one filming anymore, because now the gas station door had opened. A young woman with a pink raincoat stood there, her phone raised. Then a man near the pumps joined in. Then another. Within 30 seconds, half a dozen phones were pointed toward the officer. The cop hesitated. His authority, once absolute, was slipping through his fingers. "You people don't understand what it's like out here," he snapped. Jake took a step closer, his voice calm but sharp. "No, maybe we don't, but I know what's right and what's wrong." "And what you just did?" "That was wrong." The officer lunged forward, trying to snatch Jake's phone, but Jake moved like a man who'd been in too many fights to fall for the first swing. He sidestepped, and the cop's hand cut through empty air. Jake raised his voice, deep and commanding. "Hey, everybody look here." The whole gas station froze. This cop just hit a homeless man for asking to keep his blanket. A murmur ran through the small crowd. Phones went up higher. Someone shouted, "That's police brutality." The cop's expression changed from anger to panic. "You're all making a mistake," he said, trying to control the situation. But the damage was done. Jake looked down at the homeless man, who was still shaking, his lip bleeding. "You okay, old-timer?" The man nodded weakly. Yeah, son. Thank you." Within minutes, sirens wailed in the distance, other units responding, though none of them knew yet who the call was about. When 2 more patrol cars arrived, the officer puffed up his chest again. Finally, he said. You're under arrest, biker. But before he could reach for the cuffs, a gruff voice interrupted. Daniels, what the hell's going on here? A police sergeant stepped out of one of the cruisers, his expression darkening when he saw the phones and the bleeding man. Jake handed him the phone without a word. It's all on video. Every second. The sergeant watched a few moments of the footage, his jaw tightening. Officer Daniels, he said quietly, put your weapon down. You're suspended, effective immediately. What? Sergeant, I said now. The other officers exchanged uneasy glances. Daniels fumbled, muttering something about being provoked, but the sergeant ignored him. When they led Daniels away, Jake stood silently beside the homeless man, who looked like he might cry. The crowd started to disperse, whispering. The sergeant turned to Jake. You did the right thing, he said. Not many people would have stepped in. Jake shrugged. Didn't do it for thanks. He crouched beside the old man, pulling out his worn wallet. Inside was a single folded $50 bill, one he'd been saving for gas and food. He pressed it into the man's palm. Get yourself something hot to eat. And a new blanket. The man stared at the bill, eyes wide. Why'd you help me? You don't even know me. Jake gave a faint, tired smile. Don't have to know someone to do the right thing. He stood, zipped his jacket, and headed for his Harley. The crowd was still watching as he swung his leg over the bike. Someone started clapping softly, then another. The applause spread, echoing off the station walls, quiet but powerful. Jake revved the engine once, the sound splitting the night. He didn't look back. By morning, the video had gone viral. News channels replayed it on loop. Biker confronts cop over abuse, sparks investigation. Hero on two wheels, stranger defends homeless man. Jake didn't see any of it. He was already on the next road, another nameless highway stretching into the dawn, because that's what he did best. Keep moving. But this time, as the wind hit his face, he felt something lighter in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, he'd left one corner of the world a little cleaner than he'd found it.